the thing that we got back from the vendor about linear Laos answered none of the questions, as far as I can work out. It just said things again, and the statements you verbally made, like, oh, they're offering to talk to various people, I can't find any of that in the formal written reply. So again, I'm just it's my usual concern. Well, we're not doing an audit trail of what's going on here.
No, we can do that.
We can do that later, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, great. So that's on the agenda. We'll make sure we.
Yeah, we make sure we cover
it. Anything to add to the agenda, Alex? Anything to prioritise?
Nope.
You need to give me access to the metadata you've been working on.
Incoming.
Thanks. I'll hopefully take a look at it later. So Leo isn't able to join us. Christian's going to join us, but only for the first 30 minutes.
Right.
And Alonso is on the road.
Does anybody have the presentation of the Linux Foundation guide that we had received?
Yes, Christian passed that on, and I'd forwarded that.
Is it in the chat?
I think it's in the it's in the chat. But you might need to hunt for it. It was a few weeks back, Alex.
Yeah.
We have some guests who have just joined us. I'm not sure I can see who.
I'll check.
Ryan Williams. Could we maybe invite Ryan Williams up, because one of the issues is one we want him to.
Done.
Thank you.
What?
Hello.
Hi.
Your yell was just recorded, Ryan. Will we record it?
Awesome.
Okay.
Great. You die. Anything you want to add to the agenda? Anything we need to prioritize?
I'm good.
Great. Okay. Just wait a minute or so for anyone else to join. Christian, hi. Hi, Christian. But what I would propose to do is we kick off now. So welcome to the Technical Steering Committee meeting of the 8th of July 2026. We have 6 TSC members present, so by my reckoning we are quorate. And Leo and Alonso send their apologies for this meeting. Great. So I pasted the agenda into the chat. Bosco, you normally show it. So why don't you show the agenda? We can
anyway, the first thing is action items as usual, so I will share that tab first and then the ClickUp list of the agenda. So action items with a focus on something that might not be on the agenda. So post-quantum cryptography, that's going to be this week, right?
Yeah, I added a discussion item.
Okay. I'm not sure whether it was, so that's why I asked. Okay, Ryan and Neil, that's also on the agenda, right? For protocol parameters. Then you and Christian, budget breakdown. Did that happen, or is it going to happen?
No, I've reached out to the Cardano Over Coffee team,
okay.
And what I would propose is that we accept their offer, the kind offer to take up a slot on the 16th of July at 1500 UTC. I'll check the times with you. So
Okay.
I suggest we do that. That seems to be about the right time to draw up interest. It's still a week before the Treasury Act withdrawal is up.
Okay, that's also partially on the agenda, right? This one was done, I assume, right?
Yes, we're covering that.
Ryan is here, that's done. Okay, tax, this is a new. So you already shared that was a virtual hub. Okay, we can move on to today's meeting. Okay, testnet purposes.
Great. So Ryan,
yeah.
Yeah, we've put this on the agenda so you can present it properly. We've had a brief discussion, but we wanted to get the word from the horse's mouth, as it were. Not that you're a horse.
Thanks, I'll just share my screen. This document, and let me put the links in the chat. So this is the link to the rendered document that's currently on the branch, and then this is the PR to add the document to the Cardano Blueprint project. So for feedback, if you want to leave a comment on PR, you can do, but we'll discuss it. So this, I was inspired. The idea to do this came from, I think we talked about it prior in hard fork working groups, and it's come up in the past, but it came up recently at the Node Diversity Workshop in Porto last month. Basically, there's not really a formal document or like a really formal agreed purpose for like each testnet, nor how those testnets will be like upgraded, and it'd be really useful. It was discussed at Node Diversity as well as I think we can accept that. It's really useful to know for ecosystem builders that, hey, this testnet is upgraded 6 weeks before mainnet, right? And that having that formally defined is super useful for people, as well as having it just written down that, hey, this testnet is short-lived and this one is long-lived and this one may be respawned and this one will never be respawned, hopefully never respawn. Having this just like written down, I think is super valuable, and can help people. Maybe I can go through it. Is there any questions? Maybe I'll just go through the comparison.
Well, I think what you need to do is to tell us what the purpose is at the moment and what you're proposing instead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying not to. Yeah, so with this, I'm not trying to like. I think there's general like thoughts and ideas around like the purpose of each testnet, right? I'm just trying to like. I want feedback and try to get everyone to like converge to like something that we're all happy enough with. So this is the table. So I've obviously got preview, pre-prod, and then like alternative or like short-lived testnets like Sancho or Dijkstranet. So I put the purpose for preview, test upcoming releases and features ahead of production, and then the purpose for pre-prod as production-like final staging for mainnet. And that I suppose the headlines quick definition for each of these. I have like different rows here, so covering different parameters, targeting node version, state distribution, maintenance, which I need to confirm with IO if they've like really formally committed to run these testnets, because obviously as we know at the moment, IO run a lot of the nodes as well as operate the faucet and control the stake and will like support governance actions to be enacted on testnets. But I need to get like a formal agreement from the IO side that this is like included in the budget ask and they're going to continue to do this. Design participants, long-lived, hard fork related bit, and upgrade timeline. Did that illustrate the purpose? Is there anything more in depth you want?
Yeah, I think so when you said pre-prod for hard forks, you said after preview before mainnet. Now there's actually some discussion on that, Ryan, because certainly what Sam tries to do is to keep the two networks roughly in sync, without a guarantee that preview will always hard fork before mainnet. And I know that's a point of contention. Okay.
Yeah, certainly.
So the purpose of the preview testnet, you said it's to let people test things. The purpose of pre-prod is also testing, but for exchanges and other people who are doing integrations. So that's the primary reason why we run pre-prod. But I know that Alex, for example, has said, well, we should always hard fork pre-prod ahead of mainnet as a final test. Okay, so there is that tension for sure there.
Can I just say, reading this and comparing this back to the original conversation, there's one thing I don't think you're actually saying here. And Ryan, I think the thing that you were one of the things you were concerned about, people were using this as a sort of production style service, right, for various purposes. I think we need to state right up front that you know that you really should none of these things could be used for production. We reserve the right to shut them down, respin them, whatever, with zero notice, with little notice, right? And with no, and, you know, we just have a big disclaimer at the top, right? Because that was the major concern. You know, that these were so reliable that people were using them instead of Cardano for certain purposes.
I think it's actually what people are doing, Neil, is rather than spinning up their own dedicated testnet, they're spinning up on preview or pre-prod, and then having spun up, they're using it for production or near production purposes. So I've seen it used for conferences, for example, to support
Well, so I'm just saying that was the concern. The concern was that it was abusing the principles, right? And there's nothing in this document that says, you know, that's at risk. I mean, we'd like them not to do that, and B, you know, but we need to tell them if you do that, it's entirely at your own risk. And right, that's what I'm saying. Right, we've got to make the disclaimer clear at the front.
Yeah, and there's another point too, which Ryan didn't mention, which came out of the Node Diversity Workshop, which is that some developers would like to put pre-production versions of their node onto the test nets. Now, the principle that we're following with the Cardano node is it's a mainnet ready version of the node, and that's partly to prevent unwanted hard forks or partly to prevent leakage onto mainnet. But that is perhaps slightly contentious as a point. So we could be locking off early versions of alternative nodes. The question is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah,
But that's preview, not pre-prod.
Preview and pre-prod.
Well,
The same policy goes for both of them. Obviously, it's you really wouldn't want to have something on pre-prod that wasn't mainnet ready. That would be a mistake.
agree, but actually, how can they know it's a mainnet vote unless they put it on preview, for example? Yes.
It's a technical distinction. So before anything goes on to preview, it's been tested on other networks, Neil. So
Yes.
a lot of testing that happens before a node gets put on preview. And the way the node team works is if they're unsure of something, it will be tested on SanchoNet, for example,
Right.
some other dedicated testnet before it's released, or it's done in a at-risk way. There may be some.
Well, it depends what you're trying to test. I mean, if you're going to test functionality, you know, you can always connect your network to a single node which is connected to preview, which tests a whole bunch of. I would imagine that's an initial step to get it proving it would work on main network. But I think the key thing here is we're not looking to limit people or tell them what they can't do. What we're trying to do is to make sure that if people are doing things like that and getting it close to pre-production and starting to base, we're offering them no guarantee, and but maybe we should shut them down on the third Tuesday of every alternate blue moon or something, just to annoy people who are trying to use it.
That's what SanchoNet is for.
Right. But to shut it down when you need to. Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying we need to add the disclaimer, Ryan. That's what I'm saying, please.
Yeah, I've written that down. So I think I can write it as like what these, because I've kind of done what these testnets are for, but I should write what they're not for as well.
That's important. Yes.
Yeah. I've definitely missed that so far.
And one of the points about both preview and pre-prod is they now have a reasonably substantial history.
That's a good point, actually.
So what this lets you do is to test against a lot of historic situations as well. So we don't want to destroy preview or pre-prod arbitrarily, because that actually causes problems for testing.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, but we don't guarantee to keep them up or fix them.
We can't. Well, we can't.
That's the point.
There's an intention, but we won't deliberately break them. We need to be aware of this historic element as well.
Yeah. So the intention is not to break the historic elements, but there's no, if something goes badly wrong with preview, the right is reserved to restart it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the sacrificial lamb is for. Yeah.
Yeah, I've written for preview. Preview is intended to be long-lived. Stability is not guaranteed, and it is not. Preview is not reset under normal circumstances. I worded that a bit weirdly, but I can fix that.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think,
So is everyone basically happy with what Ryan has written? Anyone unhappy? Raise your hand if you're unhappy. Okay, great. So then what I would propose is we take this offline. If anyone has any additional comments, please make them. Ryan, what I would suggest you do is to circulate this around the community, particularly the community of alternative node developers.
Yeah, I shared it with them via the Cardano Scaling Discord a few weeks ago, and have responded to their feedback already, but I will give them another pass as well. And there's the PR in the chat if anyone has like specific comments or specific suggestions for changes. I will respond to those.
Yeah, and Christian's indicating he's generally unhappy, but then you did lose your last match at the World Cup, Christian. So what do you expect? Brilliant. Moving on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Parameter committee, Alex, you want to take this?
Yes, there has been quite some movement since we last had a proper update. It was a very successful parameter committee last Thursday. 2 things to note, or 4 according to the plan. The committee min size reduction is, I believe, now through since this morning. Is that true? Let me check again.
It's passing, yes. It whether or not it gets ratified in the next 7 hours is a complicated matter of the hard fork, but yes.
Yes, exactly. We've reached the thresholds. Let's put it that way. Which is great news. Some are very oddly against it, but we can never make everybody happy, I guess. Then we are accelerating, or actually on time. We've announced a few months ago that we want to propose mempool cost reduction to 75 within Q3. Since 8 days, we are in Q3. So we are formulating the rationale as we speak. I'll send that to Kevin when I found the document myself again. I just edited it this morning. And on the back of mempool cost reduction to 75, we are also piggybacking the second part of the 25% increase of the Bluetooth costs, Bluetooth memory units, the memory limits, because due to the guardrails, we could only increase them by 17.8%, I believe, somewhere around that. But we promised in our initial governance action that we would do 25%. Since memory units are quite non-controversial, and its thresholds, respectively, the participation of SPOs is required, mempool cost reduction is perfect because it also requires SPOs to vote on. So we're bundling those two. Mem unit increases will be very, hopefully, non-controversial. It's like another 7.5% or 6.5% of an increase. Very low anyway. Then big shout out to Neil and Ryan who have agreed on a plan, even though they disagree on their foundations, which is a great win. It's a very collaborative disagreement. K1000 is, as you'll know, a topic since years. And the parameter committee decided not to take a stance, but to formulate a pro and contra, or a view of somebody who is very much for it and a view of somebody who is very much against it, side by side, in order to educate the decision makers, the DREPs, to make their own mind up about what is a good play, what is a good decision. Additionally, we've identified that K is not voted on by SPOs, which is a bit ironic, but that's how it works. So additionally to that, we also plan to split up an increase in K in 2 different governance actions. One, an info action, which asks one particular question, namely, do you as SPO would want the technical steering committee to submit a parameter change for K1000? It's a very clear question to SPOs where they can answer yes, no, or abstain. There's no ambiguity in that. DREPs can also participate, but it's mostly for the SPOs. Part of that info action is going to be an optional poll where SPOs and DREPs can participate in order to give further feedback onto their ideas on around this whole topic. K1000, yes, but only in conjunction with MPC 0. No, K1000 too much. I like K817. These types of questions are part of an optional poll. It's designed that way because we all have poll fatigue, or SPOs in particular have poll fatigue. We've had Marcus's poll. We've now recently had incentives ballot. The participation is not great. So we are purposely framing it as an info action, a clear question. Do you want that and that to happen? Yes, no. If you want to add more info, here you go. Depending on that result, we then push K1000 with a big rationale that's built as an educational piece and not as an endorsement of the parameter committee. That's it.
Thanks, Alex. So a couple of points. I'll deal with the K equals 1000 first because it's the most recent. We need to determine the criteria for interpreting a yes, no, abstain vote. So that needs to be part of the info action when it goes out. Is it by number of voters? Is it by stake? How is it being determined?
I believe for SPOs, we decided that it was only going to count active votes, so no inactive or implicit no, because of a lot of the custodians choose not to involve the governance matters of this affair. The other question is how the mechanism for getting the poll, presumably SIP 179, which I don't know if the tooling is going to be ready for that soon, but we can definitely press to make it ready sooner, if need be.
So are you going to count by stake or by vote, Ryan?
I think the point is we haven't quite. We will come back to the commodities committee when we've written the text, but we will cover these points, right? We know that we have to. We have set ourselves the task of writing how we're going to mark the exam paper when we write the exam paper. Okay. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to guarantee on a particular solution, but we will. But there will be marking criteria. Okay.
Great. That's the point I want to make.
Yes, that's the point you want to make. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And the second point was about the min pool cost reduction and Plutus memory unit limits. So the intention is to submit this as quickly as possible. And part of the rationale for that is following the second fire incident, a lot of delegators will be looking to redelegate their stake, or also probably their voting stake, but that's less of a concern. So what we want to do is to give pool operators the opportunity to capitalize on that if they choose by lowering their pool cost. So now is the time to do that, we believe. We needed to wait until we knew the outcome of the CC min size reduction, which we will know tonight. So Ryan, we expect you'll have some extra work to do this week.
For sure. A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Sorry, I really meant the other Ryan. Who we're expecting him to put
Oh.
the action together. Great. I'll try and sync up with you on that, Alex, and I will sync up with you on that. Brilliant. So briefly mentioned Second Fi, just to give a status report for those who haven't been in the loop. So, and again, let's keep anything which is confidential out of this meeting, please. So, Second Fi have now announced plans to cease operation. Also, the CTRL wallet, as I understand it. So, Second Fi is going to wrap up shop. There is going to be a recovery process that will be announced by via the Second Fi channel via Emergo. We would strongly encourage people to follow the stated process. Hopefully it will be fully automated and straightforward. We're aware of someone who has lost funds as a result of not following the recommended process. So if you're going to try to recover your funds, follow the advice that's been given, please, and don't make assumptions. Wallets sometimes do strange things that you might not expect. The Security Council has been in discussion with Emergo, been in contact with Emergo. We've put forward a set of questions for the auditor that Emergo has accepted and will hopefully pass on our behalf. So these questions would get to the root of what was the problem, what were the timescales, how was this introduced, what steps were taken to recover, and so on, as well as the scope of the incident, which is, so what was the blast radius of the incident. So the goal is to assist Emergo's auditor in conducting a full evaluation of the incident and to, I hope, provide a public report. Maybe some details have to be left out, but hopefully Emergo will commit to provide a public report on the incident in due course once all the dust is settled. I'm aware that there are a lot of things that aren't being said, and for good reason. Some of those things shouldn't be said publicly. So we have a duty not to speculate at this point, as with any investigation. We'll let the auditors do their job. They will tell us what the truth is. But we have cooperated with Emergo. We've offered assistance. We've provided information, forensic information that will help hopefully track down the source and blast radius of this incident. So it's a shame to see a wallet exit the ecosystem. What I would say is we should support the wallets that continue to operate within the Cardano ecosystem. It's not easy to do that, and one in particular I know that deserves our attention is the Daedalus wallet. It's quite an old wallet, but it's one that's used by a lot of people. It's open source. It's the only full node wallet that we've got. So I've proposed a Twitter thread to support that. I would suggest that we get that support out. Great. Yeah. So we can continue the discussion in camera if anyone has any confidential issues they want to raise. Does anyone have any questions?
Do I need to remove any parts of this meeting from this?
No, everything we said has been completely public, Bosco.
Okay. Okay, just wanted to be sure.
I know we've had to do that with quite a few of the meetings.
That's fine. Okay, I'm opening the next one. Yep.
Van Rossum hard fork status. Right, Ryan, do you want to take this?
Me, Ryan, or other Ryan?
You, Ryan. And
Sure,
other
yeah.
Ryan can jump in.
No worries at all. Yeah, so this is kind of the complex question right now about how the ledger handles ratification of certain governance actions during a hard fork. So if I have this correct, the way it works is if there is a governance action that expires on the same epoch that a hard fork is ratified, then that governance action will be dropped, even if it's passing. So this, of course, depending on when the hard fork could be enacted and when the other proposals expire, could affect two proposals if it happens this epoch, which is the Hydra proposal or the committee min-size proposal. Next epoch, it could affect the Ikigai governance action deposit proposal. And then the epoch after that, it's the strike finance and eternal proposals. So the question, well, looking at the thresholds right now, it looks like both the ones from the current epoch are passing, which is Hydra and committee min-size. The hard fork is also passing minus the Constitution Committee. So I believe it is on this point is the Constitutional Committee is maybe deciding on when the hard fork will be enacted to do the least possible damage. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe the best outcome would be if the Ikigai proposal right now, since it expires next epoch, if there could be a push to get it over the line in the next several hours and it passes this epoch, then we'll have a clear open epoch for the hard fork next epoch. That would be the best outcome, I think, but there's still a lot of variables that go into play to that. Hopefully I explained that correctly.
You did.
Cool.
Yeah, so any questions to Ryan on that? So to counter one of the rumors, this is not a bug, this is deliberate ledger behavior. So it's unfortunate if a governance action is caught by it, but obviously we'd encourage people to vote early rather than leave it to the last minute, specifically to cover situations like this.
And it's the first, to be honest, it's the first time that we're experiencing something like this, because this is the first hard fork within the full governance year. So it's something that nobody foreseen.
I guess we don't know which proposal is unlikely to pass, right?
Yeah, I've pasted a link into the Slack channel. I can pop it into this chat as well. This is public information, so that tells you which ones are might or might not pass. Do you want to open that up, Bosco?
Yes, just give me a sec.
So it's fairly straightforward, Christian.
Okay.
And this information has been verified. So Mike Hornan has verified this, and independently, I verified the information with Alexei Kuleshevitz, the Cardano Ledger team lead. So this is correct. It seems that the formal ledger spec might be incorrect on this point. Okay, so there's a maintenance concern to raise there. The spec may be misaligned with the actual ledger implementation. So if can you widen that slightly so you can see?
Ah, sorry.
Well,
yeah. Other way around.
Fine. Yeah. So the situation is that if the hard fork is ratified this epoch, that is on the 8th of July, then the IO Hydra proposal and the committee min-size parameter would both be dropped. Okay, so that would be quite a serious impact. And those are both passing at this point in time. So two passing proposals would be dropped. If it's ratified next epoch and Ikigai hasn't been ratified this epoch, then the Ikigai deposit return would be dropped next epoch. There's one other active governance action that expires next epoch. No, scroll back up. The reforming the Treasury governance action, but that's an info action, so the fact that it's not enacted doesn't matter. Okay, so that's irrelevant. So as Ryan was saying, if the hard fork is ratified next epoch, then the only governance action at risk is the Ikigai one, and that could be ratified this epoch. If it's ratified on the 18th of July, then 2 governance actions are at risk. Could you scroll across to the left? Please, can't quite. No, left. Thanks. So one of them is strike finance deployment, and the other is the eternal support. Okay. Again, if those get sufficient support by next epoch, they wouldn't be impacted either. So
Yeah, Eternal looks like it might make that threshold, as well as Ikigai, Strike Finance, TBD. I'm just looking on CX Explorer to see impact. It looks like something will be affected. Because the closest epoch, IO Hydra, is going to meet the threshold more than likely.
I think if
And
there's
as well as the min size.
I think if there's a takeaway for anyone watching, it would be to go out and vote ASAP as soon as possible, especially for the Ikigai proposal, because that seems to be the one that's going to be most up in the air, because that's only got a few hours remaining for it to pass this epic.
I'm opening it now.
I love that. So the general advice is for ADA holders and DRATs is don't leave it to the last minute to vote, because then you might put governance action you care about at risk of expiring without it being enacted.
That means this recording needs to be shared within the next hour or so, because the Epoch Wonder will be.
And if the Margot and the Yoroi DREPs haven't voted yet, I wouldn't count on them doing it with other things going on. So we need all the other DREPs to vote.
Yeah, they voted abstain because of those other things.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Which is enough to help these proposals. Great.
Yeah.
And then scanning through Bosco, we did a full scan of all the on-chain proposals. So none of the other proposals are affected, including the ones that went through the Intersect Ecclesia budget process. And I believe Intersect timed those deliberately to avoid the hard fork.
Can I just ask a daft technical question? Those ones that are later, if they suddenly got voted for more, and is it the point at which they're enacted that they cut? So if, for example, I just picked line 12, right, the TXP one, I got voted and passed, and it passed in the next 7 hours, and the other thing, the hard fork started passing. Am I saying, would it get lost?
No.
I believe it's when they expire, regardless of when they enacted.
Correct. So a proposal can be delayed. The enactment of a proposal can be delayed.
I see, but not beyond the expiry boundary, is what you're saying.
Not beyond the expiry boundary.
Exactly.
Fine, that's fine. That's a better way of. I was just trying to work out that edge condition. Okay?
No, it's a good question.
And the reason for it is to prevent a hard fork under enactment under one set of rules, and then a hard fork, and then a new set of rules enactment.
Right.
So it prevents a lot of edge cases. So there's good reason for it.
Yeah, and of course, if the hard fork changes the rules, then the Constitution Committee might need to go and change their vote on a proposal, or DRATs might need to change their vote on a proposal.
Okay, so we have a bit of critical timing here. It's going to be minimizing the someone may get affected, right? There's a sort of utility theory here approach, which is affect the minimum number of people. Yes.
Yeah, but it's in the hands of the Constitutional Committee. Not
Yeah, which sounds like a decent constitutional, right? Resolve ambiguity. Let's move on.
Great. Moving on to the next topic.
Just a second. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to say with the Van Rossum Hod. Everything is going well there, Bosco. Right.
Yes, 51% reached for SPOs. DREPS is already support threshold level met a while ago. So only 2 CC members, which is a timing issue right now, basically. But that's it. Deliberate decision.
Great. So Dijkstra hard fork planning, we need to start to get this moving. There's ambition. There are 2 ambitions. One is to squeeze more functionality into Dijkstra than has perhaps been seen in any previous hard fork, at least in terms of the different things that are being will be implemented. And the other is to do this quickly. So there's a definite tension developing here, and there might need to be some give in that. So what we're proposing is that the next hard fork working group meeting should be largely dedicated to the Dijkstra hard fork planning, at least the initial stages of that. So that we would, as this meeting tomorrow, July 9th at 1400 UTC. This is an open meeting. Everyone is welcome to attend that. And we've extended an invitation specifically to the product committee.
Yes, I invited product committee members manually as well, but do I need to do so for all the members of the TSC? Do you have those? You don't?
Share the meeting details, and then they can add themselves, I believe. Bosco, it's an open meeting, right?
Yes, I can do that essentially.
And you can also share that in the chat, so anyone who's in the call can join us.
It's easy. Subscribe to this link. Just respond yes, it's open, and that's it. You're there.
Yeah. So what I think we'll need to do initially is to determine the scope, the timing, the priorities, and the process that we're going to follow for the Dijkstra hard fork. What I expect, Bosco, is we have a relatively slow start up to this. I don't think we won't need a weekly meeting for Dijkstra, I hope.
Let's see how it goes tomorrow. I would hold off on any judgment before I hear others. So we know a lot about Dijkstra, but on the other hand, we don't know a lot as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, and there will be a lot to discuss on that.
Absolutely.
And as I think I've highlighted before, we're going to need to go through a constitutional amendment process. The new parameters will be introduced. The constitution will need to be changed. The guardrail script will need to be changed. So we'll have to go, and there'll be gating, Neil, that will need to be done for the different technical components. So there's going to be a lot of complexity to this hard fork. Okay. Great. Ryan, anything you want to add?
I think we covered it all. We'll talk about it more tomorrow.
Great. Yeah. Great.
Okay.
Move forward.
Trying to squeeze budget.
Yeah, 2026 budget. So the proposals on chain, as you're aware, it's got now about 35% of the vote, depending which explorer you use. The explorers are all seem to be showing different numbers for the different governance actions, but about 35% at the moment, which is still well short of the 67% that we need for this to pass. I have the expiry date is July the 23rd, so we do have time to drum up support. I've prepared, as I proposed, as I agreed, a communications plan. I've outlined a possible Twitter thread. I don't know if anyone has any suggestions for improvements. Please make them today. Otherwise, we will just push that out. And we will also add some content to the Intersect blog for this week, Bosco. So please, could you pass that on as appropriate? And we've also agreed to attend the Cardano over coffee session. I was going to propose next week, I think 3 3 p.m. Thursday, the 16th is available. So I'm going to propose that time for the Cardano over coffee people, and anyone who would like to attend, please do so. Great. Anything anyone else can suggest? Any other things we should be doing here?
I guess note that your plan says share with the TSC. I have no revise with input from TSC. I've read it. I don't have any revisions I can suggest.
Great.
Okay.
So what I propose then, if anyone, unless anyone has any revisions to make, we'll tweet that out later on today.
Yep.
It's just to give people a chance to make any alterations they felt were necessary.
Let me know, Kevin, when we have a green light, so we can do it. Either me or Tex.
Well, let's assume that we will, unless anyone objects on one of the channels, that we will have the green light by 1600 UTC, and we can proceed after at that point. So you now have the opportunity to veto this.
14 minutes and counting. Yeah.
No, the 1600 UTC. 1
All
hour.
right. So, okay. An hour and 14 minutes and counting.
Okay. Tex,
Like
can
a
you
deadline, Neil. There's nothing like a deadline.
Tex, can you take care of that, as I would be involved with the kids at that moment?
Which one, sir?
Tweets about TSC budget proposals that Kevin drafted. If no additional feedback, but in an hour from now, that we post it on X from TSC account.
Actually, what I said is if nobody vetoes it within by 1600 UTC, then we have the green light to proceed with the tweet. So you don't have to make it. You don't have to state what the changes are. You just have to say no. Okay, make it simple, and then tell us what the changes are.
I'll try to figure it out.
Great. And what I would then propose is we've prepared a Twitter thread also for the Daedalus wallet. I propose to send that out not at the same time, but to give a bit of a gap, a day or two's gap. Yeah, great. Linear Laos, Neil, you don't have Martian on the call.
I've read through the response. Unfortunately, I can't match it up with the questions. So I think we have a slight problem that I'm going to take offline and see if I can find a way of engaging to get on. There was no response. The response was we'll do some stuff work later. There was no actual definite response to any of the questions. Or I thought I was expecting, the response to this question is your question here. Here's my response to it. We didn't get back that. We got back something that they've already sent us previously.
Okay, that's disappointing. I can chase.
Well, I think the question now is I want to go and headbutt somebody in private. I take them at the back of the bike shed time with the rubber hose, but we need to work out who. Okay, and I think we need to let's have a chat about offline as to who. Okay. Come on.
And are we engaging with the right people?
That's the the answer is if we're not getting. You mentioned, for example, and Marcin mentioned that Nick Frisby have been involved, right? I can't find his name mentioned anywhere or any comment on it. So my as I said in the chat, was Nick Frisby asked if this was right or not? Is there anything wrong in here, or was he asked to respond to the questions? I can't see any reason. I'm just saying we still have the same set of risks, and we haven't mitigated any of them. Okay,
that's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. We need to engage. We need to get a better cycle here.
Right. Do you want to? Yeah. Well, let's have a chat about this.
Let's have a chat. Let's have a chat.
Maybe
what we do. Okay.
Maybe this is one of the things we should raise tomorrow during the Dijkstra planning discussion.
Yeah. Well, let's have a chat in the closed session, because I think that then we can be more blunt.
Great.
You can be more blunt. That's impressive.
I knew
Oh,
you were
oh,
being gentle, Alonso.
Sorry, I had to inject some humor for the sake of the viewers.
yes. Well, yeah, Neil can be a lot more blunt. Yes.
He can be extremely direct.
No, I love it. I love it.
It comes from where I grew up. Okay.
Yeah, so you may think all Brits are polite, well-mannered, and gentle, but Bill can reassure you that isn't necessarily the case.
I've been to London. I've experienced it. It's
Yeah,
a great place, though. I want to go to one of the, how the bars spill out into the streets and everyone's having a jolly good time. You never see that in America. You get in the street with a beer and people start yelling at you. So, got some improvement opportunities, let's say.
Great. Well, we can leave drinking culture to a private. Great. So the only other item I put on the agenda was post-quantum crypto, just to keep it alive, Alex. So we had a discussion at the start about the report that was provided to us from the Linux Foundation. That's available in the chat, and it can be passed on without making sure that it's not publicly attributed to the individual responsible. So we've got permission to pass on the content, but don't tweet about it, for example. And I think Christian also he also was going to provide an update to it. So what I suggest is we handle that next meeting, unless you have any updates. I think Christian was proposing to set up a working group.
Well, I think let's get I suggest with this, let's get the document bundle together, right? So we can reread it again, because I mean, I'm having difficulty following. I'm having difficulty finding decent material that's actually relevant to what our particular situation.
Yes, the material basically seems to focus on the vulnerability of the cryptographic primitives,
and the telecommunications industry, and the use in privacy and authentic, right? I.e., copy now, read later problems. Okay, which we don't have. So
right.
Our key problem is issues of, given that this was broken, what would it enable you to do, right? And the second PHY instance shows you what is actually very useful and informative in this, because it tells you the size of the blast radius given a simple primitive failed to deliver on promise, right? And that's the sort of thing we may have to look at in greater depth. Is the blast radius given that this failed, what would happen, right? And then what we try and do is mitigate that problem.
And
Yes.
And as you're suggesting, the blast radius is surprisingly large.
Yeah, but I don't find that surprising. And but I used to teach this stuff, right? 30 years ago, I was teaching all of this stuff, and you thought about it, and I tried to make sure my students understood the costs of failure at that point and what we're seeing as a failure here. Okay, right.
Yeah,
so anyway, I'm just saying the blast radius can be very large, and it's really interesting what it means, which has to be thought through.
What concerns me is not just the impact in terms of the breaking the cryptography, but it's also impact in terms of the additional cost for doing any hardening, for example. So maybe that the cost of hardening is prohibitive, which would be.
Well, but there's also there's the technical costs, right? And there's also the emotional public relation. What does it cost? The FUD, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt cost that people can also do with this stuff, right? And it's back down to there's clearly always a risk with everything you do that something might go wrong, right? It's actually quantifying, articulating, getting people to engage with that and decide for themselves it's safe enough. Okay, which is actually the problem. There's a whole education problem going to fall out of this, right? Is what I'm saying. It's not just, I mean, we're not the only ones got it. All the banks, the governments, all the rest of it have got a similar problem.
Well, we're not the only blockchain who's got it either.
Absolutely. So I mean, you know, so it's it's understand. This is why I don't think we're going to end up just with a quite straight solution at this point. What we need to understand is what's the trades. What do we mitigate? Can we mitigate them? What risks are left? You know, should we all give up? Oh, you don't even start with, you know, the telecoms industry and everybody and governments, but you need to understand that really secure transmissions between diplomatic entities, for example, have always been done with one-time pads because they're the only provably secure mechanism. So that's how they keep their diplomatic communications really secret. Yeah. Anyway,
so let's get back. Come back to that next week, and we'll allow enough time for a proper discussion. Did anyone attend the IO seminar, the one that Hamza gave about 2 weeks ago? I was unfortunately unable to attend. I was away.
I haven't got any links to it either. If someone could find the links to it, if it was recorded or the transcript, please.
Yeah, what I'll do, Neil, is I can reach out and ask for a summary. That might be helpful. If nobody actually the session.
More than willing to listen to it all the way through in real time, but I just wasn't able to do it that day.
Yeah, I suspect there won't be a recording, but I can ask. Great. Any other business? Okay. So thank you, everyone. I call the meeting to a close, and I'll talk to you all again very shortly.
And we need you, Bosco, to let them in. Yep.
Yes.
I'll join.
Cheers.
Thank you,
Yes.
gents.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.